But for now, Nadine, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me for this show.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It's such an absolute pleasure to have you here, Nadine. So, Nadine, would you like to just start off by introducing yourself to the audience and telling us a little bit more about the work that you do?
Well, I'm a visionary fiction author.
Mm-hmm.
Up to now, I've published 6 books with Chemo Global. The first book Chemo Global published in 2001, and that was called My Love, We Are Going Home. When Chemo Global took it on, I met Robin. What I write about in the first book is the light worker's journey. I've had 3 what you call psychic experiences. Most people start on these journeys because something happened to their lives.
That's very true, absolutely.
So my rebellious nature, I was always known as somebody who had a vivid imagination.
Right, right.
And as a child, that was my escape. So I grew up with the fact that that was not positive.
Can I just interject there, just for the sake of the interview? A lot of people like us, and when I say like us, people that are sort of waking up to the idea that a lot of this reality is a matrix, is an illusion. A lot of us have this authority disobedience disorder sort of thing. And I myself relate so well to you because I've always hated abiding by the things that people tell me to do. It seems so. So I'm saying that there are a lot of us out there listening in right now that are relating to you.
They will.
Yeah.
And I had my experience, what put me onto this journey. Early in the morning, to drop my kids to school, and I heard this voice. Now, I jumped out of my skin when I heard this voice because I heard it as if you talking to me.
Okay.
I looked behind the curtains. I also looked to see if the radio was on.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't, so I sat down and listened. What happened then was I can only really today and the last few years explain what would have happened to me because I couldn't understand it then.
Okay.
I was taken in a parallel universe. I was taken away, but it might have not. It might have taken a couple of seconds. The only thing I remember at that moment, my awareness was up to a level that I said, well, I don't want to grow. I thought bigger. I was more interested in my figure, and this is how I interpret the man. It was a male figure that spoke to me. He was very dictatorial. I had to stop smoking. I had this and this and this job to do, and I better now do this.
Yeah.
So it was a bit more like an authority figure.
Right.
And I was, again, rebellious. And I said, well, how do I stop smoking?
Okay.
And then he put an image in my mind. And this image made me puke.
Oh, really? So in the vision, he told you...
In the vision, every time I picked up a cigarette, I needed to visualize that. I couldn't share my experience, though. Not to my husband. He would have ridiculed me.
Yeah.
Because I questioned a lot. But now it took many years before I actually started writing my first novel.
Okay.
Of course, I also had the obstacle of the language.
Right.
And once you're dyslexic, you never really recover. I certainly never recovered from it.
Okay.
But of course, with a lot of training, yes, of course, you get better and better at it. The first character that came to me, funny enough, is the book that I'm writing now about this character, and she came from a parallel universe.
No, sorry, just to interject, just so people can understand step by step. These characters that you write about, are these actual entities that exist that are living in parallel universes, or are they just are they people that you create and create a story for?
For me, they're people that I create.
Okay.
And they real for me.
Okay.
I would say they're part of me. That I use the Enneagram personality type that I was guided to do because there are 9 types.
Okay.
So that the reader would relate to any of my 9 main characters.
Right, right.
How they perceive the world, why they perceive the world the way they do. About Ingrid, she is in her early 40s, around that age group, late 30s, early 40s. You have to be authentic to follow your soul purpose if you know it. Many people, they have this feeling that they want to go in that direction, and it could be that they are in relationships where that is more difficult.
Right.
That is a very hard journey to take, because you can only really follow one master, which is your own soul purpose.
Yeah.
If you don't, your life is just going to be very difficult. That, you know, a lot of people ask me, is there such a thing as a twin souls? And I was also very attracted to that idea. And I thought, I want to write about that. I believe that there is such a thing, but I was not in a relationship like that.
Okay.
I started to visualize what the world would be for me like if I would attract such a person. But
Interesting.
But I did it through a character. I
Right.
made up the character. I didn't want the character to be me, so I made her grow up in Holland. She never lived anywhere else. She was different than me. She had a different name, different ages. She had 3 kids, not 2.
Yes.
I wanted her to be different.
Okay.
So the first book, The Awakening Clan, first titled as My Love We're Going Home, is very much an exciting, it's a cosmic romance.
Right.
What you can imagine, you can make real. So I learned that if I can imagine what it feels like in every fiber of my being to be with a person that's completely on the same wavelength, but I don't harm anyone else by doing this, and if I can keep that up, I will attract it.
This is the Abstract Aimee show on 2 Oceans Vibe Radio, and I'm sitting in studio with the incredible and fascinating Nadine May, the author and publisher of a series of really interesting and just the most incredible stories, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what these are all about in a second. Nadine, let's continue where we left off. We were talking a bit more about your character from your book, The Awakening Clan.
Ingrid is the main character. It's her journal.
Okay.
But Lisbeth is indeed the person that straight away appears into this novel, and she comes from a parallel anti-matter universe. She was the first character that came through me, but she was definitely not the first journal that I needed to write.
Okay.
When I was given the idea about the 5 stages of awakening, I had to write this into a form of novel so that people could follow the awakening in themselves. Okay. So in the language of light, in the workbook, I deal with the 5 stages of awakening, how to explain that. And it is amazing how people can actually apply that to their own lives. They can recognize in which stage they are mostly stuck in, and in which stage they're actually gone too fast through and not work back.
Is it possible to sort of briefly
Have an idea? If you want to bake a cake, you have to know what you want to bake.
Absolutely.
So it applies to everything in life. If you go to school, you have to know what you in the end want to study. It is the idea.
Yeah.
That's the first stage, but that's the most important stage. Then the second stage in life is you have to explore that idea. You have to explore the idea in how would that work, what would that do for you, why would you do that. That is an investigation stage, and that's also the stage in schooling in people or studying. But in relationship is that is the stage where you actually learn to be with each other, what you learn from each other. The first stage, of course, you fall in love, you think every world is fantastic, this is the person, but this is the second stage where you actually learn that. So you can apply these stages to your life. The third stage is that you combine the first idea and the second, and now you're living the third stage. In my novel, the third stage is Anneliese's novel Vanishing Worlds. The first stage is also that you have to release all the programmed beliefs that you had from the past. You have to let go of the past. But it's also a difficult, most people stay in the third stage in their whole life, and they never pass further. When you want to go further when you are a light worker, you go further, you go to the fourth stage, and that means that you have illumination happening, you have an awareness, you suddenly see things. That is Lisbeth's book, which I'm writing at the moment. That is when the time portals are starting to happening. That is what's happening today. What happens today in the world is amazing. And I'm extremely excited to be here at this moment, because when I was thinking about that in the 70s, people just thought 70s, 80s, even 90s, you know, there was
you've taken too much acid.
Yeah. Absolutely. But today it's all coming together.
Sure.
And especially when you see on Facebook what comes together and all those networks, it is phenomenal.
It is,
But it's also a very dangerous time. Dangerous in a way that you can be swiped up with things if you recognize that you see those stages are important. There's certain things that you need to work through in order to be stable You have to be grounded. There's a lot of things that happen today, and we have to know within ourselves where we belong and who we are. That is very much mentioned in this coming book, Parallel Universe, with parallel realities and universe. So I explained that Lisbeth is a walk-in. When I was given that concept of a walk-piece, it was very new to me, and I had to do a lot of studying and lots of information about this, how would it work. And I explain in the book how it did work, and then readers will realize that this is actually not so uncommon at all, and it doesn't really sound so wacky. The esoteric information behind the soul, the oversoul, and all that, it can be very complicated, and I'm trying to make it easy in form of story writing, because then you can relate to it. The Language of Light is a workbook that explains how your soul can be fragmented, and why you actually still attract certain people in your life that you haven't actually released. It's not that you haven't released them, they have still hanging on to a particle that's yours.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is, I mean, this is a hugely important thing, because people hang on to relationships, the ideas of relationships that they're in love with. So this work is crucial.
It's a fun workshop, because it's through doodling, and it is also explaining the background behind it, and of course it goes into the novels. They talk about this, but about the body codes of light. And that's exactly what they're actually doing. And that workbook will come out. And it will come out more or less in line with Tulanda's book From the Parallel Universe, because then it makes sense. It doesn't really make sense before that to bring it out. It makes sense when people get used to the ideas that are in the Matrix, that are in the 4400s, if you've ever seen that. The ideas in the Vampire Diaries. People will have to find out what is real, what is not real, what is what I follow, what is not, because it is quite a major issue. It is a dangerous time in that way, on a spiritual level. When I say dangerous, finance is controlling most of the light workers as well. And if the light workers that are really on this journey are pulled by finance, everything is taken away from them, they're having just as much trouble as anyone else. So in my book, although I'm talking about finance, I'm also talking about the alternate currency that is created in that communities that we have to develop, but in a fictional way, and it's all built in the story. Money is a controlling issue.
Yeah, definitely.
And it needs to collapse. Now that doesn't always mean it's going to be it's going to be not nice for any one of us, but it needs to. We have to let go of that hold of money.
Now you're talking about money, like this is now right now in the real world. You're talking about how I've got a massive problem with money myself, because first and foremost, I mean, the banking systems that control us are using completely illegal practices. But now what we're starting to see is we're starting to see a move towards what I think will eventually be a one world currency. And then obviously on top of that all, when they get rid of actual cash in the system and it all becomes electronic. So this is the biggest hold over us. So I am so with you there about needing to get rid of that. But then what do you think the implications will be? I mean, what do you think the biggest sort of fear thing is going to be when money disappears? I mean, what sort of problems do you think we're going to have to work around?
You know, there's a lot of ideas floating around, and I think everybody has a talent. Everybody has a skill. It's skill-based.
Absolutely.
It's skill-based and interaction between people's skills. That's where it's based. But of course that will be suppressed now. Because that will lose the control over who is now in control.
Absolutely. That's always been my message.
It's skill-based. How that is going to be implemented in the electronic world would be easier. It would be maybe because that would be easy, but not everybody is attached to the electronic world. But there are a lot of people who are not meant to be. Their skills are pure physical. They grow vegetables. They're farmers. They're builders. Those are the people that we need to have to build the communities. The electronic world we need for the parallel universe. I mean, I'm an absolute favorite of Star Trek. So, you know, that is all there. And we have a marvelous future ahead of us. It is incredible. That will be in parallel universe, in the parallel reality, and it's really exciting. The control, the things that we can
the unseen realm.
Yeah.
You mentioned something very interesting. I'm actually a little bit excited about this. You said that humanity's future is going to be very beautiful and very exciting, but that this could happen in a parallel universe. Are you, sorry, did I hear you completely incorrectly? Because what I've always had a feeling about, this is my feeling. You might think it's complete bullshit, but tell me if it is. There have been races and civilizations on our planet that have realized that the third dimensional realm is limiting, and that a lot of fear dwells in this realm, and what they've chosen to do is to ascend into a light body version of themselves. Maybe people like the Mayans or the Aztecs, I'm not sure who. You've got this duality here on planet Earth right now, where you've got a mass awakening of people like yourselves, like me, whose third eyes are opening up, who see the illusory veil of the matrix. Then you've got the people that are still being controlled. Now you've got the elite that govern us all, and that actually are switching on this frequency, keeping people locked in. Do you think that in the future it'll be a case of the people that are enlightened and have woken up will just have to ascend, will just have to exist in a realm outside of the physical for fear of being trapped in here? Or do you think we'll all be able to wake up together and stay here?
I think we are biological consciousness.
Sure.
So we can shift our biological body, our cellular structure, into another dimension. That is what to me ascension means.
Wow.
So we do not physically die.
Wow. I love that.
But that's a concept that is quite advanced. But there are lots of science that work with that.
Yes.
But that is what I explain in Parallel Universe, because that is where they know how that is happening. That doesn't mean to say that some people choose to go into the route that we do today. But there is no such thing as time.
I know.
So we're living in a timeless zone.
I know.
Then you can experience all kinds of information. And in Richard's book especially, I deal with that. He goes back to lifetimes in Egypt.
Right. Now there's the Astral Explorer, that's Richard's journal. Richard's obviously one of your characters. Yes. And so this is obviously written like a diary, like diary entries, would you say? Or is it?
Well, this is where Tulanda's book comes into it, and this is the tricky part. Tulanda appears in all the books that she's actually written it into a novel. She's wrote the stories of her friends that they gave her their journal.
Oh, wow.
And she wrote it into a novel that could be projected on a holographic scale in the antimatter universe, so they could understand themselves, because it is them there as well. There is a mirror reflection.
Wow.
We all have a mirror reflection on another world. And this is why she had to write it in that way. Look, the concept of it was quite a way ahead of me in the beginning, but I'm now starting to understand how it works.
I love it. I just want to, in the last 2 minutes, because I want to start talking about these two in the next segment, I'm just going to read the back of the Richard's journal just to listeners, just to give you a taste of what this woman's writing about. It's incredible. The Astral Explorer. When Richard de Jong attends a lecture by another Egyptologist, it confirms to him that the wars of the gods reveal paradoxes to which reason alone cannot give all the answers. During his preparations for his own lectures on the mysteries of the Sphinx, his exploration of the astral world shows him the secret behind the secret, the illusion behind what appears to be reality. Inspiring and revealing images shown to him from ancient times come to life, while an increasing division between old and new paradigm thinking on the planet creates major confusion in people's lives from 2009 onwards. And this is exactly what's happening on planet Earth right now. We are left with the realization that the concept of immortality could change the reality of the materialistic world forever. This is stuff I'm constantly talking about in my show. So we're going to play a little bit of music, and then afterwards I'd love to talk more about Richard, because he sounds like the guy that I'm most interested in. Okay, guys, so for now, alright, so it's the last 10 minutes of the show on Abstract Aimee on Two Oceans Vibe Radio, and we're sitting in studio with Nadine May and her amazing partner Robin, who is also part of this incredible publishing organization. Just Nadine, I think for the last 10 minutes of the show, let's just chat a little bit about the Richard journals, because these are the ones that I'm very, very interested in. And I just read the sort of synopsis of the story to the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the Richard's journal and what sort of themes you're covering?
Well, the Richard story is more involved in the scrolls that they found, and the idea behind it is that we were actually living in those times that he's talking about, in the ancient Egyptians that built the Sphinx, and we've left messages for ourselves behind. The crop circles are the same thing, and he deals with that. So it is actually our own, but because there is no such thing as time, which our mind can't conceive thinking without time. But through Richard, he realizes that remembering his other lives through astral traveling, and he now remembers that he is actually the author of the messages, and that this is actually a program. We are inside a program, and he recognizes they knew that then, and they warning because of the times that we live today, that it is actually important that we are awakening to that idea that we are living in a program.
Absolutely.
Because the program is ending.
Absolutely.
So, and that is more or less what he experiences. He also experiences how in the astral world can be a very dangerous world.
Okay.
You do not explore the astral world without a guide. You need to have somebody that you trust. You can't just explore an outer body experience on your own. And he actually goes through that. I needed to go through that myself. That is actually quite powerful. And in our dreaming, it comes through.
Right.
The mind can only conceptualize what it experiences. So, but because today of electronic worlds and our movies, well, the mind, of course, sees a lot more. That's already an expansion of the mind.
Yeah, yeah.
But it goes also into our dreaming. And to mix that around with our day-to-day lives is getting more traumatic.
It is very much so. Yeah. I agree completely. Yeah.
So that's really it had to be in 2 books because it was so much information in there. And when I wrote about Egypt, it was more an armchair traveling information.
Okay.
Robin decided, we go to Frankfurt, maybe we should go to Egypt, which we did. I saw the Sphinx kind of time portal machine.
Well, this is what I've been saying for a while, so
Absolutely.
can you just go into that a little bit? I think people need to hear this.
It's never been a tomb or anything like that. It has to do with matter and antimatter.
Okay.
And so what I understood was there are many parallel universes, and also the way they built the pyramids was definitely controlled by sound, a certain energy wave that they had control over. And today, in certain videos, they talk about this. They added the source field, this is what David Wilcock talked about, and they talk about the torrent field. Tesla already discovered the same energy field, the same way that we can do transportation, we can move from one place to another.
Yeah.
And this is what he learns in this book. So I'm very much dealing with that. Coming back to it again, Annelies is the one that is the most powerful character in the whole ascension, in all the books.
Okay.
She writes the body codes of light, but her experience herself is very much about letting go of old beliefs, vanishing worlds, bring all that together, all the information that are sometimes embedded in rock. She actually explains about our light body and how that interacts with her, and she also has to go back into a previous lifetime. I bring her book into South Africa because now I am far more in South Africa, available here. So her book is playing off here, and especially in Cape Town. It was interesting to bring that book here from Holland because my background is from Holland, and of course lots of the characters live there, but they interact with South Africa. So the novel will be parallel realities and parallel.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The Body Code of Light is a workbook that is.
Oh, so that's following that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. So, but the novel that you're writing, that's one where you go over decoding DNA. And
it's explaining how it works, but also it's actually tying with the body codes of light to understand how that works, how you can put that kind of technology into a simple language.
Absolutely.
That everybody can actually follow.
This is definitely a woman to watch, Nadine May. She has got an incredible way of communicating these ideas and feelings that we're all starting to wake up to, and she does this very masterfully through her series of books and these incredible characters that she's created. And what we've actually decided is that we're going to give away her first novel, which is called The Awakening Clan, and that's subtitled Ingrid's Journal, What We Can Imagine We Can Make Real. And we've decided we're going to give away one of these books. I'm actually going to start reading my copy this weekend, and what you can do is if you just go onto my Facebook page, which is The Abstract Aimee Show, just send me an inbox, just obviously telling me a little bit about who you are and why you feel that this is a message that you need to read about right now. And we'll obviously select somebody to win a copy of this incredible book. But between yourself, Nadine and Robin, would you just like to give the listeners a little bit more information about how they can get hold of you, your website?
The most important place is the website, and that would be the usual www.kimabooks, K-I-M-A, books.com. People will see that we're multi-currency and we're multinational as well. So
okay.
They'd have to click on the South African flag, then they get the South African currency, and there's all the South African prices and whatever is available here.
Okay. And then this is your website, Ascension Topics, because that's where I got...
my own. Yes, that's my own web. My 9 characters write the articles on the website.
That's a really good website. You guys must go and read. It's www.ascension.com.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic website, and that obviously gives all the details. That's fantastic. So people now know how to get hold of you. Awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, to win one of Nadine's books, please just go onto the Abstract Aimee Show and onto the Facebook page and drop me an inbox and I might select you. I cannot wait to get stuck into this book myself tonight. I'd just like to say thank you so much, Nadine, for being here.
Thank you.
We will have episode 2 of Nadine May at some future point, hopefully next month, pending subject to your availability, but I think that we have a lot more to disclose. I especially want to talk a bit more about the concept of the matrix, of ascension, and of parallel universes. I think those are topics that we know on the Abstract Aimee Show I definitely like to cover.